hopefully. You know what? I'm just gonna have faith this time and say that the live stream will catch up when they catch up. Oop, there's one. There we go. That sounds pretty good. Good morning, everybody. Well, morning for me. I need to come up with a better greeting that's more time independent. Last week, we did even more work. We've been working on this this project for quite a while. Stoic says this is the first live coding session. Welcome, Stoic. We were working on this project for quite a while, and the general idea is that I want a way to quickly summarize what people are talking about in the Kaggle forums. And I want it to be very interpretable. So the end product, if you will, here is a report, basically, that I can read every morning and then drill down into if I need to, because as it stands now, I personally read all the Kaggle forum posts every day, and it's taking up more and more and more and more time as time goes on, and people post to the forums more, and I do want to pay attention to what people are saying, and I think that's an important part of my job, but me using my eyeballs is not the most efficient way to do that. So what we've been working on is a number of different approaches to taking existing forum posts and basically creating some sort of clustering. And I have a couple of limitations here. I want it to be unsupervised. I want it to be a very lightweight model. So I'm not doing anything with neural networks. I'm not going to be doing anything where I have to do a lot of hand tagging of topics. Because this is something that I want to be able to run every day with minimal input from me, and I also expect that topics will change over time. And also I want it to be very interpretable and ideally pretty fast, because again, this is something that I will be running every day, ideally. So that's where I am at now. And we've done quite a bit of work. We tried some stuff that didn't work. And so far, good morning, David and Gurinder. So far we've tried some things that I've liked, and Jake caught the stream. Excellent, welcome. One of those is Yake. So Yake is an unsupervised keyword extraction algorithm that in theory can be adopted for multilingual data. So if people start posting on Kaggle in more different languages, that should be something we can adapt for that, sorry. And we've also did some custom keyword embeddings. So we took word-to-vec embeddings, pre-trained embeddings. I believe it was from the Google 300. 300 is the length of the embeddings, and I believe it's from the Google News corpus. Good morning, Yer. And we spent last week taking those word embeddings, applying the word embeddings to each of the extracted keywords from each post, and then creating a document embedding. And we're doing it in the dumbest possible way, as I believe I say in my comments. And what we're just doing is we're taking the embedding for each word, we're stacking them all on top of each other, and we're taking the average of each column. So again, the dumbest possible way. We might play a little bit with universal sentence embeddings, which we read the paper for in the reading group a while ago, and they are very, very user-friendly, but the downside of universal sentence embeddings is that it's all in TensorFlow, and it's in, base TensorFlow, and I'm not super comfortable. I know enough about TensorFlow to know that I don't have a good mental model of what's going on with the package and sort of all the objects and model types that there are in it. So for now, we're doing this in the dumb way. And this week, since we have our since we have our document embeddings, or we know how to get them, I was hoping that we could get to some spectral clustering. And I just pulled up a lecture. I was doing a little bit of reading so I could understand this technique a little bit better. And the benefits of spectral clustering, the main benefit is, for our purposes, is that it doesn't assume that there's sort of homogeneity within the clusters. So the clusters can have different properties, right? So this is a really good example of this. If you're doing k-means, you might have two clusters here, and it's more distance-based. So we're just going with the things that are closest to it. If we had one mean in here and one mean out here, these would all be in one cluster and these would all be in another cluster. So it's hard to separate non-contiguous, well, I guess these are still contiguous. It's hard to capture a little bit more interesting of a decision region. And this is important for Kaggle forum posts in particular, because if we think about our word vector space, and I have been thinking about this quite a bit, if we think about our word vector space, a lot of Kaggle posts, just to take something that I expect to be a topic cluster, are like, thank you. So if you look for very short posts on Kaggle, on the Kaggle forums, a lot of them are, thank you, thanks, appreciate it, thank you so much, that helped, that sort of thing. And I would expect the thank you, thanks for doing X post to be an extremely tight cluster, because there's a lot of vocabulary overlap, and those are going to be in a very small region of our little decision space. But something like, and I expect this to be another category, which deep learning framework should I use? I expect to be much more diverse, because we're going to be talking about things like PyTorch and TensorFlow, and we have older posts as well, so maybe Caffe and Theano and a bunch of stuff that's a little bit not as actively supported these days. So that's, the thanks cluster is going to be very, very tight, and the frameworks cluster is going to be a lot more broad. So because I expect my clusters to have sort of different densities in our embedding space, I think spectral clustering is a good choice for us. And I think at some point in the past I said that spectral clustering was a distance-based metric, and it's actually a graph-based metric. So this is a little example of some graphs created using spectral clustering. Words, I'm really good at words. And good morning to everybody who has joined. And I don't want to get too deep into this because this isn't the reading group, but they use a Gaussian kernel to compute similarity between objects, and we're going to use something that somebody else has implemented, is my plan. Move my mic slightly so I can see folks. And then here's an example of spectral clustering for image segmentation. And as you can see, these are not super homogeneous, and they're of different sizes and different densities and different, color regions. So I am hopeful that this will work well for us. And I did do a little bit of looking in the Kaggle kernels, because I was positive someone else had done spectral clustering on Kaggle, and sure enough they had. So there's this one by Kyle Killian from the NFL analytics competition, if you guys remember that. It was a Kaggle competition, and the point was to suggest a rules change that would reduce the number of head injuries, I believe. Hi Jewel, and lots of people in the chat. Hello. So this spectral clustering function is from where? I picked the first kernel I could find that didn't actually have an error, because a couple of them ran with errors. So let's see, spectral clustering. All right, so they're using, Kyle's using the spectral clustering function from the sklearn.cluster, I guess the cluster module from the sklearn module. Which I have seen other people use as well, and we talked about a little bit last week as what I was thinking we could use. So let's try that out. And I'm actually going to create a fork here, because I think that this is nice to have one kernel that just does embeddings, but I also have other things that I want to do. So I'm going to call this form post embeddings plus clustering. All right, so this is going to take a little bit to run because it does, there we go. This is going to take a little bit to run because it does have to install some packages into our local environment, so that'll take just a second. I'll run all these. I guess I could have done run all, but I forgot about it. Sora says, you're moving, could you slow down a little bit? This is just sort of at the pace that I am currently working at. It's not really a tutorial. It's more like me doing work in public. So I'm not gonna slow down too much. Don't worry. There'll be pauses when we hit bugs, and I'm just gonna stare at the screen for a little bit. NP Crypto says, could you assume that the distance proximity could be normalized into a function that would approximate real-world groupings that make sense? Hopefully, mostly it's going to be based on co-occurrence because that's what word embeddings are based on. So we should have clusters where, hey, there's a lot of words that tend to occur together in this post, and we think that it is going to be similar to those other words that also tend to occur together a lot in a similar post. Hopefully this will be good and interpretable and correspond to what I would consider topics. If you go back and watch the Brown clustering video, it did not happen there, so we're trying a different technique. Jewel says, are kernels like repositories? Kind of. It's more a single Jupyter or Python file, and then you can, or R Markdown, and then you can add data sets to it. So it's more like a virtual machine running a single. If your repository has one code file in it, yes. Zatron says, is the internet option on? It is, because I forked it from a kernel where internet was on, but thank you, we did run into trouble with that last week. Savam says, what word embeddings are you using? We are using the word embeddings that we fine-tuned. So it's based on word2vec, and we use GenSim to update them using Kaggle co-occurrence. So it should include words like, if I can scroll, there we go. So it should include tokens that we are interested in, and I think I removed the sort of proof portion of that, like Kaggle or PyTorch or Kaggle-specific vocabulary. So, helpful. Are you going to share your notebook kernel after this? Yeah, I try to share them. And my demo account is, if you can see that, Rebecca Turner. It's just a fake name that I came up with, so that I'm not showing admin stuff for security. Okay. All right, this is all run. So here we have gone through and done we've created a function that gets the vectors using our tuned word2vec vectors for a specific post. And we did all this in the live stream, so if you want to go back and watch those, they are in the live coding playlist on the Kaggle YouTube channel. And this goes through, it looks at all of the words in the post, and these are the keywords only, so we are doing a little bit of removing the stop words, hopefully. And from there, no, these aren't keywords. We didn't actually do the keyword extraction. No, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. So it should be keyword set. Reading in the vectors, okay, yes, okay, yeah, so this is the keywords. And we also removed duplicate keywords. So these are all of the unique keywords, and each one only shows up once. And then so we got all the keywords from all the posts, and then we just take, so this is a data frame, and then we just take the mean of every column, and that's our document embedding. So this is the dumb way. Shashank says, is there any way other than spectral clustering to tackle different density during clustering? Yes, there are many. We also talked about hierarchical DB-scan. DB-scan might assume that there's the same density. I don't know. I didn't review DB-scan before today. But yeah, there's lots of different clustering algorithms that have different assumptions of the underlying dataset distribution. Whew, my coffee was strong this morning. This isn't coffee, this is tea. It's a hedgehog mug. He's got a little briefcase. He's going to work. I love this mug. Okay. So this is what we have so far. What we want to do now is take a set of, and I think actually a subset of posts, and apply this to them. So I can actually get rid of this. I don't need to test this function. I know that it works. Why can't I click? Good, there we go. I don't need to test this function. I know that it works. And I want to actually apply it to several of them. And I'm actually going to create I'm actually going to create a separate function for this, and I'm going to say def doc embed from vectors, and it's going to need vectors, and it's going to do something very, very simple, which, oops. Oh my God, why is tab not working? Tab. Is it because I have selected text? No, I think I'm just clicking bad. Actually, I think I'm going to do doc embed from post instead, so I don't post, so I don't have to. Oh my God. I need a new mouse. The little spring on this one is starting to wear out, and it's frustrating. All right, and so we're gonna do this from the post. There we go. And then we are going to return the mean. So I'm just doing all the things that I did in the next cell, but in a single function, and now I should be able to, once I run this and put that into local memory, do doc embed from post and then give it a post, and I believe it was called keyword sets, and let's do 2. Yeah, okay, and we do expect it to be an array of dimension 1 by 300 because the embeddings for each of our words are 300 wide. Okay. Robbie says, Gustav? Yeah, Gustav is my my hedgehog, who's asleep right now. Okay, so what sklearn spectral clustering, what does the spectral clustering algorithm expect as input? Apply clustering to a projection of the normalized Laplacian. Yes, I know what those words mean. I know what some of them mean. Very useful when the structure of the individual clusters is highly non-convex, or more generally when a measure of the center and spread of the cluster is not a suitable description of the complete cluster. I don't know if that's the case, but it might be. So we're playing it safe. Adjacency matrix of a graph, blah, 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 blah. What do you expect to get in? Okay. NP array. All right. Number clusters 2. Discretize. Clustering labels. Okay. So it looks like it's expecting an array with the... Okay, so if these were our forum posts, we'd want to give it an array in where, I guess it does matter. So where the rows are posts and the columns are positions in our embedding space, and then it will give us out. So the reason I say that it's rows, because it's going to give us out an array back, and if we append it, I don't actually know that we want to append it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take my posts, I want to get the vectors from those posts, I want to get the document embedding from those posts, and then I want to create an array of all of the posts, and then I'm going to cluster them. So let's do this. I don't actually think we need to import NumPy. I think it's in pandas, but we may not be able to alias it with NP. So I'm gonna import it. up here at the top like a tidy person. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is create this data set, and I think I can do it. Let's create a doc embeddings empty array, and I'm pretty sure this is empty array in Python. And then what I want to do is for post in keyword sets, which should already be an array. In that loop, keyword sets post, and I believe arrays are iterable over rows to begin with. We'll see if I'm right about that. Let's do append this guy. And let's actually just start with the first 3, 0 through 2. Yeah. Is that? Yeah, okay, that looks like slice syntax. List indices must be integers or slices, not sets. Right. I see my problem. I actually just need to pass in post. Yeah. All right, let's see if it worked. All right. Length 300. Okay. Is it dot shape that tells us what shape it is? It's a list. Okay, I have not made an array. I have made a list. Ryan says it wants an np.array with the first dimensions being the samples, the next dim being the features. np.array of a list of all the sentence vectors. Have to do list around the sets of words. I think my main thing is that I've created a list and not actually an array. Let's try this. Is that a thing you can do? Did I not run? I didn't. Okay. Sorry. I am realizing that I didn't rerun this first cell, so I haven't actually imported these libraries. So let's do that just real quick. And the reason I didn't do that is because the first cell installs something, so it takes a while to run, and I don't want to run it again. Oops. Nope. Okay. And then, I don't know how to create an empty array. You can just do np array around the list then. You cannot append to arrays. All right. NumPy array add rows. It says you can append. Okay, here it says you can append, but here it says you can't append. NumPy.ndArray object has no attribute append. Then what's this? Alright, values are appended to a copy of this array. Oh, it's a copy. Okay, so this is actually going to be really, really, really memory inefficient. I'll deal with that later. Alright. Oh, okay, that is not what I want. Oh, okay, I see. So it's not actually a feature of array, it's a way to create arrays. So that is not what I'm looking for, and this won't work because it's a 2x3 array and you're trying to add a 3x1 array to it. Yeah. Ryan says, create the list like you were doing it first, but at the end, once you have the list with everything, do npy.array around it. And Zatrone says, create your embedding list, and after use npy as array embeddings. Let's go back. All right. Okay, so what I think I actually want to do is, I think this line is getting too long, so let's scooch it up a little bit. Embeddings equals np.array. So we're going to turn this into an array, and then we are going to, and then we're going to try and append it. Let's see if this works. Array object has no attribute append. NumPy array add rows. Yeah. CSV, array slicing, delete row, append a row. NumPy.append. Oh. My syntax was bad. Also, this is not a way you should do this. This is going to create a new copy. Yeah, no, okay, this isn't actually what I want to do. So this is going to append them. Oh, I could do this. I could overwrite the existing one. Is this still really memory inefficient? So my worry is that every time I run this loop, I'm going to need to allocate memory for a separate copy of the array. And what I'm doing is I'm just pointing it back to the same name, but it's still in memory. Hopefully somebody who knows more about Python memory management than I do. Yeah. It's in NumPy. We'll have an answer to that. All right. And now if we look at doc embeddings, hey, it's an array. Excellent. That is what we were looking for. Yeah. So this should work. I think it works so far. Alan says you could create many lists and just append them into an array at the end. I feel like that would be a little bit less memory intensive, but still pretty bad. The canonical way to do this in R, I'm much more familiar with memory management in R. I don't know, if there's an advanced R thing for Python, I'd be interested to have a pointer to it. But the canonical way to do this in R is to pre-populate an empty matrix or array of the dimensions that you want, and then add in, by index, the information that you're trying to add. Yuri says Python will eventually reuse memory usage, but I don't know how often garbage collection happens. See, these are problems you don't have with a compiled language. I'm assuming you don't have. At least no one has ever told me that that's happening to me when I'm using a compiled language, which for me in the past has been Java. Not my favorite. Well, okay, we can handle memory. Let me leave myself a to-do. Clean up memory usage. This is np.append creates a new copy. Let's get it working first and then go back and optimize. Ryan says, check the shape. I don't think that's right. Let's see. I can never remember what's an attribute and what's a built-in function. Well, that's neither of them. 600 by 0. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't think that is right. Okay. It should be of length 900 though? Because we were doing 3, right? Yours says just shape. There is a little bit of a lag between the where I am and where you guys are. So I am not ignoring you. It's just that I am seeing this in the future when it's less helpful to me. Something's funky. Something's not right. Okay, so what we're doing. We're creating an array from the embeddings. That's no problem. That's what I expect. And I want to add that array to an existing array. I'm starting with an empty one, so I might be getting into trouble because the size dimensions are different. Oh, do I have to say axis equals 1 in terms of embedding? Oh, it didn't like that. Out of bounds for an array of dimension 1. Okay, so it's failing on the first loop because this is the wrong dimensions. Python empty array specify size. No, I don't mean a list. I mean an array. All right. Python numpy empty array specifies size. Numpy.empty. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so wait. Empty, unlike zeros, does not set the array value to 0 and may therefore be marginally faster. On the other hand, it requires the user to manually set all the values in the array and should be used with caution. Okay, this is actually what I want, and I think this will also serve to fix our potential memory problems. And I'm a little bit worried about memory because at some point I do want to run this over all of the Kaggle forum posts, and I think we have, many? I can find this out. Forum messages. Does it say how long it is? Somewhere? I'm pretty sure it does. I might be zoomed in too far. Maybe this one? Numeric. Okay, so we have around 500k forum posts, which is a lot. And the max is higher than that because deleted ones still have a unique ID. They're just no longer existent. Zatron says 500k. Yeah, around there. So that's a fair number of copies of array that is increasingly large. All right, RC cola. So it's rows and then columns, and we need 300 columns, and then the rows, let's actually set a variable, num of posts, and let's set it to 5 just for testing purposes. And what we should be able to do is do that. So then we have a single parameter we can change, except it is actually MP and not numpy. All right, what have I done? Oh, right. Okay, so I no longer want to append. I want to insert. Numpy insert array into existing array given index. Numpy.insert. Jolly says, why are you confused when you know everything? I don't know everything, man. I'm full of ignorance. I'm just a pinata of ignorance. All right. Insert values along a given axes before the given indices. Insert a 1, 5. Axes 1. So this is inserting it in the first two, and it's over. Array, insert 1, 5. Okay. 1, 1, 5. So it's inserting it 5 after the first one. Yeah? This is deeply confusing. Welcome to live cinema chat. Ryan says you can index it by just doing embeddings I slice, and that will assign the 300 dims to the ith row. Don't need to call anything special. Oh, whew, thank you. That is helpful. So at this point, I'm not actually trying to concatenate. I'm trying to replace existing. So I've created an empty array, and I'm trying to replace things in the empty array. Okay, so I should be able to say doc embeddings do I need to create an iterator? Do I need to create a numeric iterator? Yuri says it's inserting 5 at index 1, which is the second item, and also there's ones in the example. Thank you, Yuri. That was helpful. But also, these examples are a little bit confusing to me, but also that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for insertion because insertion is adding additional things, and we actually just want to replace existing things because we're creating an array. Sorry, it's not empty. It's got like random numeric variables in it. Zero through. All right, let's. How do I get out a numeric iterator? I want to count. Alan says, I think the first option is to have a nested for loop. Yeah, I think you're right. Oops. So I'm gonna indent this, and then for I in 0 through num of posts, for post in keyword sets I, doc embeddings I, equals embedding, so that is assign it correctly. All right, we have some errors. I have to say enumerate. Thank you, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Int object, not iterable. All right. I thought I could loop over slices. I think it would be like doc slice comma post emb. This would take me half a second in R, but I'm not familiar enough with NumPy guts. Zatron says, isn't each keyword sets I a post? Yes, it is. This is going to do this a lot of times. That's not actually what I want. Range number of posts, maybe? Yeah, I don't actually think I need a second for loop. I don't think I actually need a nested loop at all. I just got excited. There we go. Okay, so that should work. Boop, boop. Fix our white space. I have no idea what this line is supposed to look like to actually make it work, this line here. Okay, so it's 5 columns, 300 rows long. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for helping me. So this is going from the range for the number of posts, which is a variable that we're setting up here, and then we are creating the document embeddings from the keyword set at that index. We're converting it into an array, and then we're adding it to our existing array, which is of this size. Actually, I don't know that those aren't random still. So let's just yeah. I'm just gonna do this as a little checky check. Just make sure these values should be changing. And they are changing. Excellent. Also, some of them are not a number, so that's good and helpful. I think that's because... So 2 possibilities. 1, the keywords extracted are not in our vocabulary that we have embeddings for, or 2, it's an empty post. So we should probably remove from the keyword sets any empty post. Remove empty sets. And what is the data type of, I think it's type of keyword post, keyword sets is a list. Python, remove empty set from list. Yeah. How do I get rid of them? So you want to get, if you want to get everything that is falsy, you can use this. All right, so keyword sets. Okay, so this should remove everything that's empty after we do our keyword extraction. And I actually want this in another cell because I don't want to run all of that again. And I'm actually going to, I don't know why I can't use my keyboard good today. So X, V, there we go. And I'm actually going to call this no empty. So I'm not writing over my list that I know is good and took a while to populate. And if we do it now, instead of the keyword sets, we are doing the keyword sets no empty, we still have not a number, so that's not it. It must be out of vocabulary. Yeah. Here says the lag in the chat doesn't help. It really doesn't, because you guys are so helpful, and it's just like, I'm waiting to hear from you in the past. All right. Oh, did I not run this? No, I did. Okay. So let's actually post these, and this is the 4th one. So it's the 3rd one because we're Geary Jet. Okay, yeah, that's definitely out of vocabulary and not empty. So I guess we'll just proceed and see if spectral clustering can handle not NANs. Okay, so this works for now. Memory usage is fine at this point, but we do have a to-do, which is handle posts where all words are out of vocabulary. And again, I just want to see if this works. I don't want to sink a ton of time into optimizing something that I might never actually use because the clusterings are bad. All right, and instead of 5, let's do 1,000. I think that's a pretty good size. And then we should, if we look at doc embeddings, embeddings.shape, we should see that it is 5,000 rows by 300 columns once it's done. List index out of range, that's no good. Let's make it smaller, I guess, and see if it goes back in range. I did actually need that second one. Let's just do 100. Yeah, 100 worked, no problem. Okay, let's try the clustering now that we're 45 minutes in. And I believe this should be pretty straightforward. I'm gonna get my spectral clustering back. Do I need to specify cluster number? It is optional. And 8 by default. So let's see if 8 is good for us. And then it looks like you just fit it to the given thing. All right. All right, so clustering equals spectral clustering, and then we're going to give it our array, which is doc embeddings. And is there anything else I need? Is that going to work? All right, that seemed to work. And then we should be able to say clustering labels. Oh, I actually have to fit it. I see. Okay, yeah, so I didn't fit anything. I just specified the model. What was it called? Doc clustering? Doc embeddings. There we go. You may need a way of handling missing values, such as fill NA. Okay. Input contains NaN. Okay, so I do need to handle out of vocabulary words now. Zitron says you can use GenSim to get the vocabulary and check if the word is in vocab. So my worry about removing all the NaNs is there's not a great way for me to... So right now I know that the first post in my embedding shape is the first post in my input. So I know that the first row here corresponds to the first row in keyword sets I. So I think... and I won't know until after I do the embedding if I have run into words that are outside of my vocab. So I think I am going to, like Citron's suggesting, use the first column in the data frame. Ryan says, could you make it a fallback to np.zeros if no words were successfully looked up? Yeah, I think that's actually probably the easiest ones, because if people are saying a bunch of things that's out of vocabulary, I actually do want to know that that's a cluster, and I would expect that to be a cluster given this technique. I think that's the simplest solution. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah. All right, so we should have something that works, and now this should work without my NaN error. I might get a different error. Input contains NaN, infinity, or value too large for D-type, float 65. Oh, it doesn't matter if it's initialized with zeros because the NaNs are going to overwrite the zeros. Okay, so I do need to add something. If, how do I check if there's NaN in an array? Check if array NaN. What was that? Is NaN. So if it is not a number, we do nothing. Otherwise, we add it to, this might throw an error because I have an empty if expected indent blot. 300. All right. Oh, that didn't work. All right. What do you mean it didn't work? NumPy is NaN. Oh, okay, I see. It's in NumPy. It is not a... It is not a feature that everything has. Oh, okay. It's ambiguous. Embeddings.any, because I don't want any NaNs. Okay, so I should have that out. Excellent. And now this should work. It worked. Fantastic. Get rid of you. Okay, so what that did was if there are any NaNs in a row, then we replace it with zeros. Again, a little bit of a dumb solution, but I mean, hacks. I'm a hacker because I write hacky things. Okay. Number of distinct clusters. 2 found smaller than number of clusters, possibly due to duplicate points in X, and that's probably going to be them zeros. And I do want to, if I am replacing things with zeros, I do want to make sure that my initial data frame only has zeros in it. So that makes sense to me. And if we go back to clustering, which I left, we should be able to get labels, and this should be an array of length 5. It's not. Oh, that's right. That's right, because we have 100 posts. Okay. Interesting. So we have 2 clusters here, and all of the posts but one have been put into that cluster, and the last one is in a different cluster. All right, let's see this keyword sets 100, because I am... Actually, let's look at the document embeddings 100, because I'm guessing that that's going to be the zeros. And we want the 100th row and all the columns. That didn't work. Can I do tail? I can't. All right, I'm just going to print it out. No, the last one isn't the zeros. This is odd. Hi everyone. Jake says inner joins are a step up. Yeah, inner joins are definitely more complex than the rest of the stuff we did in our SQL event. Ryan says might want to check the embeddings for being loaded incorrectly. The embeddings might be messed up for some reason. That's possible. What did I call them? I called them vectors. And I'm not doing any data validation here. And I know that this is after... Nope, that looks normal. That looks like what I expect. Yeah, and they're by 300, and they've got the words here. So the vectors look okay, actually. Goodbye. And Yuri says the fourth was, and an and, so it should be 0, and it definitely isn't. Let's look at the options from scikit-learn from clustering, because right now I'm just using the defaults, and I'm guessing that that might be a problem. All right. Pseudo-random number generator used for the initialization of the eigenvectors. By the k-means initialization, use an int to make randomness deterministic. So let's start a random state. And in the best traditions of programming, we'll make it 42. Random state not defined. Pretty sure it should be. There we go. Okay, now if we look at the labels, nope, we get the same results. Huh. Interesting. Okay. String nearest number of neighbors when constructing the infinity matrix, assign labels, k-means or discretize. The strategy used to assign labels in the embedding space. There are two ways to assign labels after the Laplacian embedding. K-means can be applied and is a popular choice, but it can also be sensitive to initialization. Discretization is another approach which is less sensitive to random initialization. Let's try with discretization. Woo-hoo. And let's have a smaller number of clusters. So let's say that we expect to have, because I believe the default number of clusters, I don't know why this is in, it doesn't need to be. I believe the default number of clusters is 8, so let's make it 5 and see what that changes. I know I'm changing multiple things at once here, and you shouldn't do that. All right, okay. And actually, let's change all of this and only add the discretize. I think it might have been the k-means that was the problem. Yeah, okay, it was definitely the k-means that was the problem. Excellent. Which makes sense because that's not going to work with more interesting decision space. All right. This is looking good, so let's grab some of these posts. There we go. So let's use this to get the keyword. So I'm going to call this data post subset. And then I'm going to take the keyword sets from 0 to the number of posts, which we have decided previously. And then I'm going to take from the post set subsets all of the ones that were assigned 0 as a clustering label. Only integer scalar arrays can be converted to a scalar index. That makes sense. List indices must be integers or slices, not tuple. Oh, okay. So you can do this in R, but apparently you cannot do this in Python. Alan says, so the fourth is now in cluster 3? Yes, it is. Python, pandas, filter rows by Boolean value. No, go away. Shoot. Boolean indexing. That's what I'm looking for. Yes, no, code examples, please, and thank you. That's not it. Head, okay, not what I'm looking for. Criteria. But it worked for this person. Okay. Are you not a list of Booleans? Pretty sure this is a list of Booleans. It's an array of Booleans. And what if I say as list? As underscore list? Just list? Will that work? Does it need to be a list? Nope. List indices must be integers or slices, not list. Why isn't this working? Yer says you have to specify that you want the entire column sense condition. Lag doesn't help. Like that? Condition. Okay, so it looks like you have the thing, comma. List indices must be integers or slices, not tuple. But the Medium post said that this would work, and it does not. Okay. Use filter function. Pandas filter Python. According to labels in a specified index. And Abed says you can use .lock or ilock. Let's try that. List object has no attribute lock. Oh. This isn't a data frame. I don't know why I think post subsets is a data frame, because it is most definitely not. Yeah, no, this is something else. This is a, was it type that tells you? Nope. List object, so it's a list. Okay, so what I actually need to do is filter a list, and this is why my problem has been a problem, and that should work if it were a data frame, but it ain't. It's a list. So, all right, Python filter list by Boolean. That is what I'm looking for. Filtering a list based on a list of Booleans, that is what I want. Answers, list compressed, list a fill. Okay, that is helpful, and just not at all what I would have guessed it should be. I think I said at some point that 80% of my bugs are down to failing to understand, oh my god, how to use a friggin' mouse. No, failing to understand the structure of my data, and this is one of them. Cluster index. I'm gonna give it a name, and then I want to compress post subset cluster index. Whoop. And let's see how that looks. Get rid of this. That's nothing. That didn't work. All right. What is compress for? itertools.compress. Make an iterator that filters elements from data, returning only those. Okay, blah, blah, blah. What is this from? IterTools. Okay, so do I just need to import IterTools? I thought this was a built-in. Oh, I see. Okay, it's a namespace thing. There we go. Okay, so I need to say what package it's from and then the thing, and then it should work. All right. So this is one of our clusters. Question, appreciated, approach, good, removing, R, classes code, image generator, add. This looks a little bit broad. Interesting. Okay, so let's just really quickly check what our clustering labels was. Oh, we are over time. Which one of these looks smaller? 3. So let's check 3 instead of 0 and see if that's a little bit more there. Okay, so this one was Girija set. That looks like French, maybe? That doesn't look like English, maybe. Empty, empty. All right, so this looks like things that are out of vocabulary, this set, which includes Python and congrats with a Z. So this is sort of like our misc set. It's things not in English. It's things that where all the keywords are misspelled, and it's things where posts had no keywords. That is a reasonable cluster. 0 looks like the biggest one. Let's look at 6. That one also looks fairly small. All right, so in this one we have commit, epoch, stop the books, cookbook, data, deep. All right, masterpiece, artificial, black box, hidden layers, great, deep, artificial, intelligence. Okay, this looks like a deep learning cluster. Artificial, Bohr, Christ, continuous. That's sort of an interesting post. Reconstruction, resolution, Schrodinger. That seems like a very interesting post. Lots of things going on there. Yeah, that doesn't seem like an unreasonable cluster to me. That seems like a fairly reasonable cluster. And it looks like there's not too much overlap between the vocabulary words either. So I'm going to quickly define a get cluster by number function where I pass in a number and then I return. Actually, I think it should probably be get keywords by number. Keyword set by cluster. Cluster number. I'm gonna do this one, and that's number now. All right. Function. I don't need to say what that is. I think that's self-documenting. All right. And then we can do some little sample clusters. So out of this cluster looks like it's out of vocabulary. And I believe that was get keyword set by cluster, and I believe it was 3. And then the one that was deep learning was 6. Looks like it's about deep learning, and then that one was 6. Okay, so we did it. We did some clustering, and it only took us an hour and 10 minutes, which wasn't too bad. Naveen says that looks kind of like Indian words. That makes sense to me. And folks are telling me about importing compress. I did eventually figure it out. Ryan says, raw text has a bunch of HTML in it too, hence the prevalence of PE href, yeah, which we decided to leave in because I do want to know if there's a topic around people like sharing a bunch of links. Potentially could be something helpful for identifying spam if the only thing in the post is a link. Yeah. Okay, so I think we have done it. And I'm gonna put this up here with the rest of our imports. Let me tidy up a tiny bit so when I come back to this, it'll be clear what I'm doing. So get document embeddings for the first 100 posts. And I think these actually might be in a random order because our backend is all in BigQuery, and BigQuery returns things in a random order, and our Kaggle is a sort of like a snapshot of our public BigQuery data. Markdown. Clustering. So this is the actual clustering, and explore our clusters. Note that k-means label assignment didn't work well. K-means assignment didn't work well. Okay, this is just a little reminder that like we do need to have this to be discretized instead of something else. And these are look at the labels for each of the posts. Posts. And then, actually this probably doesn't need to be in a markdown cell. Oopsie. There we go. Whew. I accidentally deleted this cell, but I hit Escape Z in order to get it back. Thankfully. Explore our posts by cluster. And yeah, let me commit this and make it public so you guys can check it out if you are interested. I'm pretty happy. The things that I think I need to do from here in order to really be able to evaluate these quickly is to have a way that is even shorter to look at these clusters. And I don't know a great way to do that. I guess one way would be to take the forum titles and then just be like, here's this cluster with all these titles are in this cluster, all these titles are in this cluster. So that might be helpful. Something to think about. Make this public. Okay, make public and save. Yeah, but we're a little bit over time. I just been, I'm really happy. I feel like we're finally getting to the point where we have something like usable out of this project, which has just been like a series of dead ends and trying different things and experimenting, which is, to be fair, like the fun part of data science. But I'm looking forward to, again, having this tool that will make my life easier because it's something that I genuinely need. So, yeah. People suggesting maybe more data cleaning, maybe some visualization. Yeah, definitely both things that we can work on. But again, I want to make sure that the clusters are good. And Citron says, would you want to try another document embedding method and compare both? Yeah, definitely. So I'm thinking about universal sentence embeddings, USE. It's a Google paper. It's implemented in TensorFlow and looks super easy to use. My worry is I don't know how well it will handle out of vocabulary things that are in the Kaggle vocabulary. So things like package names and Kaggle and kernels and competition. So we'll see. All right, I'm going to call it a day because I do have a lot of other stuff to go do today. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody, and I will see you next Wednesday for the reading group when we will probably finish up the XLNet paper, and then we'll be ready to start a new paper 2 weeks after that because the Wednesday after that, August 7th, is going to be BQML, so doing machine learning in SQL that I'm looking forward to. All right. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was not too frustrating for you to watch, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.